Kahnawake, the Mohawk Reserve bordering Montreal, has suspended communication with the Quebec government following the passing of Bill 96. Bill 96 enacts French language reform laws across Quebec. Some have been vocal with their outrage in protest of this law, including many Montrealers, immigrants, and Indigenous people both on and off reserve, as they will experience barriers in properly accessing healthcare and other essential services in their primary language.
The Mohawk language was spoken here a long time before French was ever spoken, or English or any other language. We're being recolonized again by the Quebec government under Bill 96. The government had a policy to kill the Indian to save the French language. And that is wrong. Bill 96 is another piece of colonial and imperialistic legislation. And we cannot accept Bill 96 to be applied to our people. Shouldn't be applied to your people. It's a violation of all our rights. It's a violation of the rights of Indigenous peoples. It's the violation of the rights of English-speaking people. It's a violation of the rights of Muslims and Jews and everything that can come after.
We've cut off discussion with the provincial government at this point at all levels, administrative, financial, technical, and political, until we receive the ask, which is to meet with the Premier and our Grand Chief to have some high, obviously, political discussion and some form of resolution, whether you call it exemption or, something in terms of them showing us that, discussions are serious. We want to work and build the relationship that we've had with the provincial government for the past 40 years or so. And they obviously at this point are finished in terms of legislative session, but looking for still some answers and or accommodation in terms of the bill that is now law in 96.
Delisle says the government has not tried to contact Kahnawake since the suspension of contact was announced. With limited knowledge of French for some current students in Kahnawake, some residents of the community of Kahnawake are concerned with how Bill 96 will prevent current students from attending CEJEP as a result of more French requirements being imposed.
It's very worrying, particularly because we are an Anglophone community, and a lot of our schools, all of our students, I should say, their first languages are English and Ranikonhriio, which is Mohawk. So French is a second or third language for the majority of our students. So even as it stands now, going to CEJEP and having to do the 2 pre-existing French courses, that's a struggle. So having to add 3 more now as a result of Law 96 is it's a bit scary for our students. And I fear that it will encourage a lot of students to either go out of province for post-secondary, so to an Ontario college, or just not pursue post-secondary studies at all. Although the law won't come into effect until fall 2024, the graduates from this year are already worried because they know they'll probably still be in CEJEP when it comes into effect. And the younger students, so grade 9 and 10, who are coming up through high school and they already have this at the back of their mind, when I graduate and I go to CEJEP, I'm gonna have to do all these French classes. I think it puts the pressure on them when they're already in high school too, like the grade 9, grade 10, because now they have to try, of course every student should try, but now they have to try extra hard to pass French in high school to then get a good mark to then be admitted to CEJEP. It's a domino effect.
The Kahnawake Education Center will be providing a workaround for students in lieu of Law 96 by offering grade 12 to their students. Having a high school education up until grade 12 means that students will not need to attend CEJEP, and as a result, not need to complete extra French requirements in CEJEP. However, Education Minister Jean-François Roberge said he would close this loophole, stating that the center is not authorized to provide grade 12. But education isn't the only barrier that Law 96 will create.
Within, I guess, the health and social services aspect, a lot of our services, actually all of our services here in the community are English, but we do have to send, for example, youth protection has to, and other areas have to go to the courts outside, which will be in French, which will, you'll have to, I believe they said you'll have to pay to get an English translation of court documents in the future. People who are having to get medical treatments like outside of the community, so chemo, radiation, things like that, they'll be affected when they go off reserve for those treatments. If we have to hook them up with tutoring or hook them up with, different language learning resources, if they really want to stay here and pass the French, then we'll do it. We'll adapt. But the fact of the matter is that, when something is being imposed on them, they're gonna back off, right? Or they're gonna not appreciate it.
The minister responsible for the French language, Simon-Jeanlin Barrette, who wrote the bill, said that the bill is not intended to cause divisions for French and Indigenous communities, but it is to protect the French language. Local 514 reached out to Jolene Barrette, but we received no response. Many students in Kahnawake grow up learning English, with many trying to teach and preserve the Mohawk language for students. So why do so many Indigenous communities in Quebec have a stronger sense of English than they do French? Colonialism is a major factor, as residential schools stripped Indigenous children of their culture, language, and forced them to learn English, even in Quebec.
Residential schools were forced upon not only Mohawk people, but several other Indigenous nations in the U.S. and Canada. And the whole intention was to destroy who we were as a people, to take away the language and culture, which is the center point of what makes us who we are. So we've already had to adapt over the course of hundreds of years, of course. But we are where we are now because of that imposition of English. We have very few first language speakers of Kahnawake left. There are various language revitalization efforts in the community, and I think the fear with imposing another colonial language on our students, not only our students, but our whole community, right, will take away from the time that could have been devoted, the time and effort that could have been devoted to revitalizing our Kahnawake language. The priority in the community should be on our revitalizing our Kahnawake language. I think that a lot of people want that focus to remain only on Kahnawake. Every year we lose a few elders who were first language speakers. We're never going to get that back.
So with political contact being suspended, how is healthcare and policing being affected in Kahnawake?
We're being told by representatives of the provincial government, such as Minister Lafreniere, as well as Minister Simon Barrette, that it will be status quo, that we will not be impacted, that there will be no impact, whether it be in justice, healthcare, and what have you, but proof in the pudding in terms of implementation. So we're not prepared to wait to see if, in fact, there is no impact to us.
Some students in Kahnawake have been mobilizing to challenge Bill 96.
We knew that it was going on about a year ago when it first came out that they were going to pass it, or they were working on passing the bill. And I got a message asking if we should do something, and there was a walkout at one of our schools in Kahnawake, at Kahnawake Survival School. They walked out to do a protest, and they marched to the bridge. And after that, there was a meeting held, and no decisions were really made at the moment. So what we decided was we're going to gather all the youth together. We and the rest of the youth in the community we have like a strong feelings about it, and we really want to do something. So we gathered together like twice a week or 3 times a week, and we came up with this plan and idea, and eventually we brought it to there was a town meeting in one of the locations in Kahnawake. We brought our idea to the community. One of our spokespersons, they stood up and spoke before everybody, and address the people. And everybody was on board. We got the public safety, which is like the peacekeepers, the fire brigade, ambulance, and the Council of Kahnawake as well on board. What we did is we went forth and we did a rolling blockade across the Mercier Bridge. And from there, at the bottom, we made these pamphlets that gave all the information on how it's going to impact Mohawk youth in the community and just people in general, the Anglophone communities that surround us. So to raise awareness about the bill and all the issues that will come forth in the following years.
Bill 96 has been said to go against reconciliation efforts.
It's not just Quebec because, it's the rest of Canada too. It's always said that, we're working on reconciliation, and if Canada was really wanted to work on that, they would have stepped in. We would have got our exemption, our full exemption that we wanted, or this bill would have stopped.
So what needs to happen for Kahnawake to reopen communication with the Quebec government?
The community continues to strategize, mobilize, and engage with any and all parties involved in the province and beyond that are going to look to have either accommodation or the law stricken, including federal government. We've seen and heard Minister David Lametti, the Attorney General of Canada, as well as the Minister of Justice, make those comments, and we've engaged with him, as well as comments from Prime Minister Trudeau. So we will see. But again, like I said, we continue to strategize. We'll mobilize and partner with and speak with every other body that's engaged, again, what Quebec is looking to establish.
Like, follow, and let us know what you think of Bill 96 in the comments.